Hello and welcome to Robin's Craft Room. Today I'm going to demonstrate the Stamp-a-ma-jig. Stamp-a-ma-jig is a brand name for a stamp aligner or positioner. It's one of the best because it's compact, which makes it easy to use and store, and is tall enough so that any type of rubber stamp fits it nicely. First I'll show you how to use the Stamp-a-ma-jig, and then I'll answer some questions I've had about it. This is the card that I want to make with the Stamp-a-ma-jig. I'd like to make sure that those ornament hangers fit just perfectly on top of each of the ornaments. The Stamp-a-ma-jig comes with two pieces. The stamp aligner itself, which is like a small T-square, and an image sheet, which is transparent when you put it up next to a piece of paper. And now I'm actually going to use the Stamp-a-ma-jig. The first thing that I'm going to do is take the stamp aligner part of the Stamp-a-ma-jig and lay it on my work surface. I'm going to move the image sheet into the crook on one side of the T-square. I'm then going to stamp up my stamp, and I'm going to place it into the same crook of the T-square and just depress it lightly. And there's the image stamped onto the image sheet. The next step is to take the image sheet and place it on top of the ornament where I want that ornament hanger to appear. I don't want a crooked ornament hanger, so I'm going to use this grid sheet, Stampin' Up! Grid paper, to make sure that my ornament hanger is pretty well parallel to the entire ornament. And I've placed it so that that bow is right on top of the ornament. I'm going to bring the stamp aligner back and move it in so that the image sheet is exactly where it was when I first stamped that image on it. I'm going to remove the image sheet, ink up my stamp, and put it back in that same crook and stamp. And there's my ornament with that hanger placed exactly where I want it at the top. That's how the Stamp-a-ma-jig works. And now for some extra tips about the Stamp-a-ma-jig. The stamp aligner itself has a non-skid base that helps keep your paper in place. But to make really certain that your paper doesn't move, you can use a bit of Dado adhesive on the back. It's repositionable and is easily removable. It's especially helpful when you have a small piece of paper such as this on which you're going to be stamping. The image sheet has a rough side and a smooth side, and you can even see that there's more glare on that side. When I'm using Stampin' Up! Classic ink, I tend to use the rough side because it doesn't smear as much. In today's case, I used jet black Stazon, and it's not going to smear at all. If you're going to be using this image sheet to make a lot of cards with the same image, definitely use Stazon ink. Stazon ink will not smear through dozens and dozens of uses. And you can use Stazon all-purpose cleaner to clean your image sheet when you're through. If you're just using regular Stampin' Up! Classic ink, a little bit of soap and water will take it right off. If I have a stamp set, such as tree trimmings, that I know is pretty much always going to require a Stamp-a-ma-jig, I'll stamp my images on a piece of cardstock vellum, or in the case of this stamp set, on a piece of medium weight window sheet, and I'll store it right in the box with that stamp set. So all I have to do when I use this stamp set is pick up the stamp aligner itself for that final stamped image. Finally, everything that I said here applies to stamps whether they're on wood blocks or acrylic bases. If you have a stamp that's on an acrylic base and you're going to be using it with the Stamp-a-ma-jig, be sure not to remove that stamp from the base until you are completely finished with your project. If you remove it mid-project and then put it back on, you need to start over from the beginning and restamp your image sheet. Enjoy your Stamp-a-ma-jig. It is the perfect tool to keep you from ever ruining a whole project with one crooked image.